Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 needs to address these 5 things, or else. Even before Benedict learns of her name, the lady in silver dashes home, unbeknownst to him that the woman is none other than a lowly maid named Sophie Beck, Yirin-ha. Part 1 of Bridgerton Season 4 may have wrapped up, but as audiences await its second installment in February, there are still questions to ponder. Without further ado, here are the major things Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 needs to address, or else. Benedict's search for the mysterious lady in silver comes to a temporary halt when he is invited to a party hosted by Philip Cavender, Cavan Clark, in the countryside. It is here that he crosses paths with Sophie for the first time after the masquerade, after witnessing her splash Cavender with water when he tries to assault one of the maids. Intervening before Cavender can lay his hands on Sophie, Benedict offers her a ride back to Mayfair, but they are eventually caught in a storm and take shelter in Benedict's cottage to rest for a few days. Once back in Mayfair, Benedict offers Sophie new employment in the Bridgerton house, which Lady Violet Bridgerton, Ruth Gemmell, ultimately approves. Benedict is still searching for the lady in silver, but when he realizes he has been developing feelings for Sophie, he stops his search and confesses his feelings. Sophie reciprocates in a heated moment on the servants' quarters staircase. However, the emotions crash down when Benedict asks her to be his mistress instead, dampening Sophie's mood. Having been an illegitimate child in secret, the last thing she wants is to be someone's secret lover. Lady Penwood, Katie Long, might have gotten rid of Sophie from her house, but she would do whatever it takes to maintain her social status in Mayfair. Ever since the death of Lord Penwood, Arthur Lee, Lady Penwood has ensured that Sophie, the late lord's illegitimate child from an affair with a maid, is kept hidden from society. She protects Sophie by keeping her in the house as a maid, believing that her illegitimacy makes her unfit for society, despite having her father's noble blood. Since then, Sophie has been serving Lady Penwood and her 2 daughters. After discovering that Sophie sneaked off to the masquerade ball, Lady Penwood decides there is no punishment harsh enough for her crime. In the heat of the moment, she banishes Sophie from the house. By this point, Lady Penwood is aware that Benedict is searching for the lady in silver, a.k.a. Sophie herself. By the end of Part 1, the Penwoods move right next door to the Bridgerton house. She is unaware that Sophie is now working for the Bridgertons. If the truth comes out, Lady Penwood might try to sabotage Sophie's employment to secure Benedict for one of her daughters instead. After years of serving Queen Charlotte, Golda Rochefort, Lady Danbury, Adjoa Ando, decides it's time to step down from her role as lady-in-waiting, longing to return to her ancestral homes. However, the Queen is not letting her one and only best friend go so easily. Lady Danbury is furious when she learns that the Queen has refused her request, believing their years of friendship mean nothing. But when the Queen tearfully confesses that she is afraid of what will happen to her after the king dies, Lady Danbury cannot help but sympathize with her. Still, this does not immediately erase her desire to visit her home. Lady Danbury secretly concocts another plan. When the Queen's other lady-in-waiting is dismissed due to an unwanted pregnancy, Lady Danbury nominates Alice Mondrich, Emma Naomi, for the role, much to Alice's surprise. Becoming a lady-in-waiting is a great honor, usually reserved for women of high society who are deeply involved in Mayfair's social sphere. Although Alice has experienced a rags-to-riches rise, she refuses the position, believing she lacks what it takes because of her background. In Lady Danbury's words, however, Alice is the perfect choice, because the Queen needs someone who will challenge her and tell her the truth. Previously on Bridgerton Season 3, Violet's sixth-born, Francesca, Hannah Dodd, unexpectedly finds her match in the unassuming John Sterling, Victor Ally, the Earl of Kilmartin. The couple is practically 2 peas in a pod. Both are far from flashy despite their aristocratic upbringing, and they prefer the quiet comfort of each other's presence over grand gestures of love. Unlike the other overly enthusiastic suitors, John does not overwhelm Francesca, which ultimately prompts her to suggest marriage. By the end of Season 3, Francesca and John embark on a journey to Scotland, with her sister Eloise, Claudia Jessie, tagging along. It is also implied that they will be staying with John's cousin, Michaela Sterling, Masali Beduza. However, Bridgerton Season 4 might shake up their relationship. Francesca and John embrace their marital bliss, and their marriage is calm, almost too calm. Francesca seems to have a hard time reaching her pinnacle in bed with John, though he never pressures her into doing anything that makes her uncomfortable. While John represents a pillar of safety and stability, it appears that Francesca longs for a bit more spark. That spark may arrive sooner than expected. When Francesca and John invite the Bridgertons to their house party, Michaela suddenly appears on their doorstep, catching Francesca off guard. Her reaction is not one of disgust, but a sheepish surprise. If fan theories are correct, Michaela could serve as Francesca's queer romance in the Bridgerton series. Violet has lived years as a widow to the late Edmund Bridgerton, Rupert Evans, yet her life is never truly lonely. With 8 children, her household is lively and chaotic. When marriage season comes knocking, Violet immediately turns her focus to securing suitable matches for her children, one by one. That pursuit already comes with enough drama from Daphne, Phoebe Dynevor, and Simon Bassett's Regé-Jean Page, fake courtship, to Colin, Luke Newton, and Penelope Featherington's Nicola Coughlan, Lady Whistledown reveal. As a result, Violet has long ignored her own needs and priorities, including the possibility of life after widowhood. That changes in Season 3, when Lady Danbury's estranged brother, Lord Marcus Anderson, Daniel Francis, arrives in Mayfair and charms Violet. In Bridgerton Season 4, Violet and Marcus make their feelings for each other apparent, this time with Lady Danbury's blessing. However, Violet struggles with insecurity. She is no longer the woman she was 20 years ago, particularly in terms of her physique. Having given birth to 8 children, she worries this may be seen as unattractive to men. Marcus, however, has no such qualms. He still wishes to spend time alone with Violet, and their romance eventually culminates in one passionate night in an empty Bridgerton house. Even so, the fate of their blossoming relationship remains uncertain. Violet may want to keep their relationship under wraps, savoring the moment away from the intrusion of her busybody children.